All right, folks, we're going to try this again here at BTFDtv. Hopefully you're getting some audio. If you guys are having problems, just give me a heads up. But I believe everybody's unmuted, and I've got this together here. So today it's going to be a short show again. We're going to try to reiterate what we did earlier. I've got Bob with us today. He's going to be filling in and play. I guess just let's get into it. As you guys knew, today I was out at the beach overnight hanging out with my buddies and their kids. I came back, and next thing I know, Apple's trading at basically the same levels that I would see like Citigroup trading at, just in between, penny trades. And I wanted to see if you guys had any insight, because I missed the whole thing, and just maybe get your views on it. So if Mark, you got any views on what was going on here?
I'm still convinced that what happened today had something to do with Apple breaking that 500 on all that volume. It just seems, it seems to fit. Because that's become, the average stock for all the big boys, and it took a huge dump, and all of a sudden everything locks up. I mean, I could just be a conspiracy guy, but and especially if you look at that NASDAQ statement they released. They took 30 minutes to fix the problem, and we sat around for 3 hours for a 30-minute problem. That seems unreal.
You were saying something else too, but when we were talking off camera about those guys giving a heads up to some of the bankers, saying, we're going to be live in 5 minutes, and then people kind of got shafted on that whole ordeal.
Yeah, I was hearing rumors all day that the NASDAQ was reaching out to big traders, big institutions, and giving them kind of the heads up of what's going on and kind of shooting them timetables. And then about 15 minutes later, CNBC would put something on the air about a timetable. I know the definition of insider trading is stretched nowadays, but that you can't tell me that that's not complete insider information, that you're feeding big players. We're gonna be back. We're gonna be live in 5, and everyone else doesn't know. That's tantamount to criminal right there. Especially when
I know, and it's funny too, because you could definitely argue that it was a material. It's material information. I mean, if you're trying to trade in the market and it's closed and you can't do it, and then all of a sudden all these people know that they can. I mean, that sounds kind of shoddy, especially considering Preet Bharara has been running around talking about how the SEC is doing, be afraid, be scared. And it was even worse. Go ahead.
SEC talking about breaking up, J.P. Morgan, talking about what are they now? DOJ and all them 60 lawsuits against J.P. Morgan, and one of your biggest firms in your indice in the central heart of Manhattan is feeding people insider information. What's up with that? Where's Mary Jo? That's all I want to know, is where's Mary Jo been?
Well, let me tell you something. I think this is the most absurd thing that I've ever seen. I think the fact that they shut down that market for 3 hours plus, kind of ramped it back up. And what was the company? It was some multi-insurance agency that's thinly traded. That was the first stock that they kind of looped out there. I think it's absurd. I think our markets are totally broken. Totally broken. There is no reason why we should have publicly traded markets in this country, because they don't work. They simply don't work. And I guess I was sitting there. I'll be honest with you. I'm playing to the short side on things. Against my better judgment, because we went above 1655 today in the futures market, which concerns me. I'll just dump them. But I think the market is terribly broken. I'm so disappointed in the reaction of the people. NASDAQ, by the way, did not have a press release. within the 3 hours that they were closed, as far as I know.
5 hours.
A large chunk of the day, which was pretty shoddy. With Grayfield.
I read later in the day that they were on the leaders of the NASDAQ were on the phone with the SEC for hours, and it continued even after the cash close. But it's totally unacceptable, and I don't know why. Frankly, I mean, I'm just befuddled. But I don't know why the market didn't sell off on a lack of confidence. But I think the HF, the high frequency traders just kind of owned the day, and they were gonna push it, whether they liked it or not, whether you liked it or not, rather.
I think it didn't sell off because too many people were to the long side. I think there was enough people that had a stake in this crash or this halt or freeze not going the way of how it's been before with the Facebook IPO, how everything tanked. I think there was a lot of people who had a lot at stake, that couldn't let what would really happen. I think they put, I think people put a bid in and were kind of forced to. I mean, otherwise, there's no way this doesn't crash down. I mean, if
Yeah, and I agree with that too. It's I was expecting at least a sell-off going into that, because you'd think, like, if you go to Walmart and all of a sudden Walmart's closed, you're not going to leave there in a good mood. You're going to be kind of pissed, and some people are going to sit in the parking spots waiting for this thing to open up again. And it's almost akin with the energy, with the rush the traders have. It's almost akin to like a Black Friday. If everybody's waiting in line, all of a sudden the store closes. You're sitting there going, "What the hell, dude? I've been sitting here trying to fill this order to buy this TV at this cheaper price, and now I can't do it." And I think it's a testament, as I've been nailing, that it's retail traders. There's not a lot of retailers, a lot of institutions, and the way HFT is going, there's a whole lot of issues with the integrity of our markets. So I would think, giving those guys the heads up, it was able to get the banks in place, or at least the big players into place, and maybe allows people such as CNBC and someone like Kramer to backpedal on other things that they've said before, and they're able to come out and go, no, the markets are fine, everybody's confident, everybody's feeling good, don't worry about the market. When anybody who's anybody can remember the AP crash, the Flash crash, the Facebook IPO, the BATS IPO. I mean, I've seen spreads in stocks going from $3 to $200,000, and that's not even today. And I don't even know what Hunsader's been saying all day today. For all I know, he blew a gasket and he's laying around just comatose right now because he can't even handle what's going on. And it gets more brutal because people watch CNBC and all that shenanigans on there. And Kramer was just saying not even a few weeks ago that we need to embrace HFT in a thing, in one of his little articles. And then today he was talking about how HFT is terrible and all this other shenanigans.
Jim Cramer used to live about 15 minutes away from me. And, he's a nice enough guy. Made a lot of money, lost a wife, raised a daughter, lives in Summit, New Jersey. Again, 10 minutes from my house in New Jersey. So I'm not going to criticize him. But the whole thing with the Deca panel, 10 people on there.
that was great. Come on, that was classic.
I don't turn it on anymore. I shut the TV off. I do not watch CNBC anymore. I will not watch the fire hydrant.
And nothing. I'm sure Josh Brown's a great guy, but a lot of what everybody was saying on there, they weren't telling us what they know. Everybody was just saying, "I think this. It could possibly be that. I think this," and they were basically being spokesmen for NASDAQ because everybody at NASDAQ was freaking gone. Like we said, at Baby Gap buying shirts for Bobby.
I think you are spot on correct. I mean, my main strength is politics. I mean, I've been a professional, quote unquote, professional trader for 10 years, but I was never trained in this business. I was a deal attorney, for big leverage buyout firms, and I retired a couple of years ago, and I've been doing this ever since. But my passion is for politics, and this was all political. All political.
See, you see,
Well,
you guys don't like the fire hydrant of CNBC. I love it. I can't. I think it's great. I think it's I like the cheerleading. I like um the dumb things that they say sometimes. It kind of makes my day. Puts a little smile on my face. A little, I like it. Gives
I
me,
just I just
little
can't
happy
take it.
faces
I
sometimes.
can't take it anymore. I mean, I think Kelly Evans is awesome. You know,
Yes.
oh, absolutely masterful. I used to wake up early and watch that show on a daily basis. She is masterful. She is such a hard worker, and she always wants to learn.
She does
She's
interact with me on Twitter, which is pretty cool and all. And I think if you were to even, this is turning into like what CNBC needs to do as far as their business model is concerned, because they're out there cheerleading, but I never get anything market moving from them. Shout out to Kyle Bazzi and the Benzinga crew, because they usually beat everybody on the street as far as news is concerned. Even Bloomberg sometimes. I get stuff out there before Tyler at Zero Hedge does.
The Bazinga guys are great. The Market guys. I mean, they're first class.
geez, well, that's interesting. You guys should mention that because I kind of dumped them a little while ago. They, I years ago on Twitter.
Yep, yep.
For him, and I just kind of demurred and this and that. So, and I've kind of dismissed them. So I will have to go back to them based on your recommendation, guys.
When Sang and those guys brought me in and I was hanging out with those chaps, Peter Zhang over there, he trades with a nod. He hooked me up with some access to Benzinga, and I've been using it, and they're just money, man. I'm happy with the way that they work, and that's why I don't even deal with CNBC anymore. And I even use TOS for the free charting. I don't even watch the garbage on there, let alone even Bloomberg for the most part. So it's like, when you have these problems in the market and people end up looking for somebody to give them answers, a lot of these people, maybe aren't in our circles on Twitter, or, they don't like to read what we write because, I have a tendency to get angry and throw out a boatload of curse words. So it can kind of turn people off, which stinks because now they're not getting information that they could, be using.
I
Well,
don't think
I must compliment you on the fact that you haven't sworn yet since we've been on
That's me
air.
to keep things under control.
I think we should put SP on here and because God knows in his videos just hilariousness.
Well, SP, and Garrett, if you don't know, that's Sell Puts, and he's already been on the show. I don't know if you missed that.
I did. Evan was on the show, man. He's a good looking man.
Yeah. Oh no, he did a marvelous job. I mean, and he'll be back. And he's a great guy, a good friend of mine. We both are undergraduate graduates from Indiana University. He's just the goods. He is the goods.
He's a funny man too. He's a funny man.
Because that's why I think shows like what we're trying to do here with the trader stuff is there's a lot of value in this type of stuff where you can actually talk to traders that aren't we don't have to get all jazzied up and then take the trip to CNBC and then sit behind this whole bourgeois setup and yammer about what we think.
Use a makeup girl over here. I kind of have like a pimple I could use hidden, and like I mean I need someone to touch up my face. I need some better lighting. I mean, ugh, gotta get a suit and stuff like that. Jeez.
Appreciate it from all those guys. But they seem to, they give us a lot of support because we've done a lot of back end work. But now it's time to start bringing us to the video end. And maybe, I mean, who knows? If we can start changing something up here and figure out a way to start getting information out to the street quicker and at least analyze, because we're not going to find out what actually happened with NASDAQ from the SEC for days, weeks, or months from now, when I'm sure Hunsader's got something on his server right now.
It's looking, last I heard, is looking for 2 weeks we'll find out exactly what happened. But yeah.
An exchange that's been around for a while, and they're just dropping the ball. Go right ahead, man.
In a halted market.
Indeed.
And someone who should know better. I don't know him on a personal level, so I'm not going to call him Carl. I'm just going to call him Mr. Icon. But for a halted market on a stock that just took a huge dump into the freeze, we'll just call it the freeze from now on, tweets out that him and his best buddy Timmy, I guess now from Apple, are gonna plan a dinner to talk about the magnitude of the buyback of a stock.
Unbelievable.
In a halted market on probably the most traded stock today. I think it trades more than Exxon. I'm assuming it does. Second biggest market cap.
So you're thinking like somewhere around 1:30, 2 o'clock-ish? New York time? Okay. SAC. Yeah, I saw that. Those HFTs came flying out around, like, my tape was ripping somewhere around, what was I saying, like 11:58-ish or 12:58-ish, somewhere in there. The tape was ripping at the low. And then, yeah, it came out, that tweet came and it hit. And that's actually been a huge argument with the SEC, is whether these guys, like when Dan Loeb issues a position release, or Ackman releases one, or Icon releases one, that the market moves. And they were debating whether that's actually insider trading.
I mean, it's not full public information.
Before has been a capital raise. And the reason I think it is because I don't want to pay more money to fund the SEC. They've done shit to this point as far as I'm concerned. And by giving them more money, that's not going to solve the problem, but I think they're going out on capital raises now in an effort to at least build up enough money where they can pay for Midas and pretend like they're monitoring the markets, even though there are a whole bunch of lawyers that don't understand diddly squat.
Well, I mean, if the SEC, my opinion is about Security and Exchange Commission, if they really want to fix something, they have to start paying salaries equal to what the guys at Timberwolf Capital, the guys at at Citadel, and the big hedge funds who win. You're not going to get a master of market plumbing to come work for the Security and Exchange Commission. They'll make a lot more money at these big firms. Look at Renaissance Capital. Have never lost in what 10 years? Not had a loss. I mean, don't tell me that someone would leave that job and go work for the bad guys, in their opinion.
Well, I mean, I've never been a regulator, but I think that what your points are valid in terms of the SEC. I mean, and I certainly concur with them. And perhaps we need to enrich them more. But the fact is that it is a it has simply become a revolving door. People move into the government just to get the key jobs. They move out of the government just to get the key jobs. I mean, it goes on and on and on. The political system is totally screwed up. Totally screwed up. I mean, does anybody not realize that? I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's a Republican or a Democrat. I mean, I don't know if you guys read you guys both read my tweets. But, one of my favorite political, hashtags is two political gangs. And that's what they are. At this point in time, 50% of people that leave Congress, whether it be Senate or the House of Representatives, enter lobbying. And that's the only official number. So like a Newt Gingrich who didn't enter lobbying, but was a consultant, doesn't count in that stat. It's unbelievable, guys. First off, our political system is broken in this country. Broken.
That's are we having issues at least with our regulators and our political leaders? Mostly because the people are just allowing themselves to be distracted and not have a view in this. Because it seems like as a nation, we're only concerned about what happens 3 months before we vote.
First off, there is no view amongst the political leadership. They have no idea about the depth of these issues. This is why, Glass-Steagall, I think, was 38 pages long. Obamacare was, 2,700 pages? I mean, it's absurdity because they all stuff crap in there because they figured out the game. And the system needs to change. It's a corrupt system. And while the U.S. was calm and growing and doing wonderful things in the 80s and the 90s, everybody took their eyes off the ball, and the Republicans and Democrats have just carved up everything for themselves, whether it be the Republicans, whether it be the Democrats. And the only thing they fight about is who's going to be the president. Are you having another drink, Muck?
Yes, I am.
But anyway, it's absolutely corrupt. And you know what? I mean, I have no confidence in either one of them. And I will tell you that I vote in every election, but I will not vote for a Republican or a Democrat ever again. And I haven't for about 6 years.
Hey, if I don't vote, I get to bitch all day long. And there's different arguments to all that, but I feel, nowadays, the way, when America started, you didn't go to college to learn how to be a leader and then spend 30 years in the business, of working in government and then coming out. But what I'm seeing now is people are going to school to become leaders. This is a career path they're choosing. And then on top of that, we have a nation that seems to have more opinions and views about the Kardashian baby and what's going on with these celebrities than they do about this type of stuff. Because, right now we're sitting here having this talk and most people are like, dude, who the hell would do this type of shit? And then you have a group of people that are out right now just toying around doing nothing, and it's like we have this battle between people that, seem to know what's going on and those that don't.
Scarier than not knowing about the government. And, I'm going to take a little different viewpoint from Bobo. I don't mind a corrupt government because a corrupt government gets nothing done, and I'm fine with that. As long as we get nothing done, they can't mess anything up. What I'm scared about is most of the people in this country don't even know anything about finance. They don't know about the stock market. They don't know what's going on. Their 401ks are losing money every year, and no one's talking about that, which is scary in the first part. All these little boutique financial advisory firms, I've worked for some, I'll admit it. I left because I had ethical problems about screwing people out of money. I just can't do it. That's why I'm on here. I want to help people. If people don't know where their retirement money is and what is in, then you're it's the blind leading the blind, when it comes down to people retiring, and that's a scarier thing for me. Not really much the political stuff, but I'm worried about these baby boomers. People like Bobo. What are they going to do when they retire? There's no money in their 401ks. I know Bob's great and he manages his stuff, but I would say at least 86% of America don't have a clue on what's going on.
9% of statistics are made up on the spot, but I did see something that Tyler had put up earlier about retirement savings and the amount that people had. And a majority of the boomers only had like maybe $12,000 in retirement, and people within our age group have absolutely nothing, say, for retirement. Well, because I mean, that's more of a societal problem than going back to school. What do you got, Bob?
Well, no, I mean, let's go back to the 401k. Does anybody realize the genesis of the 401k?
I do
before
not.
It was. Oh well, it was generated, I believe, by a House of Representative individual from New York, from Utica, New York, I believe, who did it for on behalf of Xerox, and so this is now the major saving vehicle. But of course, nobody in the public pension system ever adopted it, and so. You have states and governmental. Who's got the plane running in there?
Sorry, that's me. That's a fire engine going by my house. I'm sorry. I apologize for that.
All right, no problem. You just
Jesus.
you gotta hit mute for that.
Sorry.
But what they developed this, and it's a far better system. I think, generally speaking, than the public pension system that guaranteed a certain amount of income upon retirement, because people are living longer, and yet no states, no localities ever changed their system. So they are still on, the classical pension system that guarantees them money, and they are based on 8 to 9% rate of returns. I remember Warren Buffett, who I said at a company I was working at, which was a Berkshire Hathaway company, who said, "This is insane. You should only be accruing this at 6%." Now, mind you, this was in 2002, and we still have state and local localities who is doing this to my system.
Sorry, I closed the window, dropped the blind. Sorry, guys.
All right, no problem. But I mean, first off, we're not going to make 8 or 9%. Not for some time.
Hey, look, why don't you take all your retirement savings? We'll manage it for a percentage. And you can basically gamble on a historical return on the equity indexes of 6%. And then we had that pullback, and those people just got destroyed, dude. And that's why I was like, I can't be lying to people about this anymore. And that was when I first realized HFT really got deep, because we were doing GIPS analysis, and I couldn't get a solid closing price on the S&P 500 total return for the life of me. I went through 5 different organizations. Even S&P Capital IQ and the S&P website had different ones.
Not to be named advisory company, and they were showing me their indexed life insurance policies, and they were guaranteeing people at 8.5%, and it could be used for everything. I almost laughed at the guy and walked out of the meeting. I was like, "You're guaranteeing 8? There's no way. You can't do it. It's all lies."
I think that's bringing this back to CNBC, and what happened today is, all these people just believe what they're told, and we're spending more time teaching people to memorize the African rainfall average in 1912 for some, regents exam in New York State, and we're not really teaching people anything about how to make money or how to analyze all this information. We live in an information age now, and it's like my quote says, the best informed society to ever die of ignorance, and it's a damn shame.
we are teaching our kids how to be test smart, not book smart and not street smart at all. We're teaching to the test and just teaching how to be test smart, which I don't know anyone who's ever, yeah, great, you got a 1600 on your SAT, but you can't tie your shoes. Way to go, kid.
Group of people that will, they'll grow up to be, I don't know, let's say, Josh Brown, and they'll end up going on CNBC, and they're just going to start telling us what they think or what they assume, and nobody comes out and says what they know. And it's like, again, with Josh and Joe, I did a post about how these guys will just pat each other on the back and say, it's a fundamentally driven rally, and maybe they'll find some indicators that show that, but they won't come out and admit that they were wrong when the Federal Reserve comes out and says it's been all POMO. And like we were talking off camera with the AP tweet, I came out, I had a guy on Twitter at @r_2. He's an Indian trader from somewhere around here, and he was telling me, when AP came out, that there's no way somebody was front running that whole thing, and no way anybody got anything in, and I can't plan it. And I tried, dude, and I couldn't prove it. And I came out and I admitted it. I thought that was it. I even wrote a post about it on St. Lucie, and it was next to impossible to prove. But all these guys have so much tied in with their egos, they come out and they're just, I'm always fucking right, I'm on CNBC.
I make mistakes all the time. All the time. Every day.
If I think Carl Icahn front run his Apple tweet, which I think he did, I don't know if he can prove this or not. I think he was buying that low and then put that tweet out there. If I think Carl Icahn front runs that Apple tweet, I think someone knew about that AP tweet and front run.
It's tough because Icahn deals with size, and he's got a history. If you go back, I'm trying to find the book. If you go back, Den of Thieves, when he was working with Milken, I mean, they used to park stock, and they knew exactly how to work around regulators. And I doubt some guy that's taken what's his position, like just over 10%. Yeah. So I'm thinking, if that's what he's doing, there's no way he's just trading on this, but he might be tweeting stuff to just bring a base. Because if you're coming in buying and you're holding it, what do you? Agreed. Especially if you had 500 options. What do you got, Jack or Bob?
Garrett, you might want to send the tweet stream out again, because I'm getting a lot of feedback about people wanting links. Yeah, it's hitting big.
I'll be right back. I gotta go grab a soda.
No problem. Get your soda. No, absolutely. Yes.
I'll be right back. I gotta go grab a soda.
No problem. Get your soda. Yeah, just mute.
I'm not showing up, huh? Video?
Well, I hear Market Plunger, and I know he had great news today. I am so happy to hear that. Yeah.
It's not working. I'm not showing up, huh? No, it's on my end.
Well, I hear Market.
Okay. So we'll have to see how he can fix that up. You're killing us, Smalls. That's fine. Do what you got to do. That's all right. Sorry about this hiccup, guys. Just for those of you that are tuning in here, I've teamed up with Jack Barnes and his wingman Bob here, and they're letting me basically run a trader show. And right now I'm just kind of running it, ad hoc whenever we feel like, raging on something. And we did one this afternoon, but I had messed up the audio somehow, so you guys missed my entire rant against CNBC, which kind of stinks, I think. But so no, that's fine. That's fine. And I'm glad everybody's getting in, and that's what I want this to be, is where people can kind of chime in and talk about what's going on, because clearly you know, when NASDAQ goes black and we don't hear anything from one of the older U.S. exchanges, there's something going on. And I think it's going to be responsible for the community now to team up, because personally, I've been sitting here waiting on the regulators for the past, 6 years to do something about HFT, and they're just, whatever, not doing anything. So,
Can't march it back as much as I love Jim Cramer changing his position and pounding the table on CNBC today about how bad HFT is. Whew, I mean, I got a little wet on that one. So that was classic. But look at CNBC has the Apple chart up today. That's a huge spike. I mean, if you bought Apple at 498, you made a lot of money. Oh, yeah, you're money time now. Oh. Which is sick. It's just that's pure sick. And I run a small friends and family only fund, about $7.5 million in the fund. Not a lot, nowhere near. But I can't get any information out of anyone, and it's just kind of sick. I mean, $7.5 million. It's not a shitty amount of money. Yeah.
and that's why I want Market Puncher to come on, because I'm curious to hear, he's a hardcore trader, and I'm curious to hear what he's got on his end, because I'm sure he had a field day today.
I know he did have a big day, both personally and professionally. He did very, very well. So, I mean, but I tell you, I think I'm sorry, Matt.
I think the best thing, I tweeted yesterday that I'm not ever trading Apple again because it's seriously fucked up, and I put the Apple in my and I got favored by Apple News, and that just made my day. It made my day, and I talked about how bullshit Apple is today, and they favorited me again, and I mean, it made me smile. I was like, I'll never trade your stock again, but if you're gonna favor my
now that's a testament to the HFT exposure on Twitter. And a lot of people didn't believe us that there was, HFTs that were hunting on Twitter sentiment until about a year ago. But even with Evan over at Sell Puts, I mean, he started that chat room basically because he would tweet something, and this was happening on numerous occasions. It was a coincidence until it wasn't. When he would tweet something and then Apple would move accordingly, either with his position or against it, to the prices he was labeling. And we got shady about it and even tested it with VXX. I was short VXX or long VXX at like $16. Yeah, and it was a total crock of crap. And the fact that I can't go out, in order to protect myself or my clients, I have a fiduciary responsibility to understand what the hell I'm doing. And I can't go out and test this type of stuff because, God forbid, I put in some order and cancel it without the intent of executing it. SEC comes after me and smashes me. Then next thing you know, we're getting 10,000 canceled quotes a minute and nobody's doing anything about it because it's quote unquote part of a strategy for quote unquote liquidity providers.
These OCOs and OSOs bring me back the days of the SOS market. So I rather those soul scalpers, that the people that were scalping the SOS system at Heartland Security and all them, cheating the system, fine with that because they cheated the specialists. But uh, uh, no, I mean, I long for the days. I think Bob will remember, and you might remember too, Garrett, of the SOS bandits. I long for those days. You know why? Because they fuck the market makers, and that's it. Now it's about fucking the retail customers, and I'm not cool with that. You shouldn't f over the mom and pop people at all. That's not right. Bring me back to specialists. Bring me back the open outcry. Open outcry. Back in the days in the pits in Chicago, I heard stories. I'm only 28, so I wasn't there. That big waves used to come through, and everyone used to put their hands down, and no one got effed over. Why can't we just do that? Why does it have to be all electronic? And if you don't have if you're not a NASA engineer, you can't get a job at a big firm. These quants are ruining the markets, and they know it.
Well, Muck, it's interesting you should say that because I did see a trader I have a high regard for who wrote a book. Shoot, I forget the book, but I read it. He's down in North Carolina now, but he was a former Coast Guard guy, worked for, I think, Morgan Stanley, and traded, and said everybody's going to scream about open outcry now. You know, so I honestly, I don't know, but this system that they have set up is absolutely corrupt. Absolutely corrupt. It doesn't serve anyone. It certainly doesn't serve the retail customer.
Oh, well, definitely not. And that's what they designed the system as. That's what pisses me off. They set all this up to help the retail and to bring in the TD Ameritrades and we'll get it. Well, but no one realizes that their TD Ameritrade orders or their E-Trade orders filed through Goldman Sachs, and Goldman Sachs can read what all the retail people are doing. The best one was Charles Schwab or Options Express? One of them was owned by Timberwolf, the Timberwolf hedge fund, and he saw everyone's orders because he owned the deep discounts brokers, and he was trading for himself. How is that legal?
It's even funnier because let me ask you guys: you ever place a post no preference blind limit order? You have not. Now, your brokerage firms that you trade through, do you have the option to choose a post no preference blind limit order? Exactly. You have to code these. Yeah, exactly. And that's probably
like ARCA. That's about it.
I was really, really, really pissed off at these guys for putting out this exchange order type analysis they did, saying that there's no big deal with it. There's like 200 some order types as if it was no big deal, like 232 or some garbage like that. Exactly. And the only way you're going to access it is if you code it. You have to code it in your program. You have to test it against the market. And basically, you have to have a very deep understanding of C# programming in order to pull it off. Well, I was going to say I can try to bring him in, but Haim's really busy right now. Yeah. He's in here. I'm just going to tweet him something out to see what the... I don't have his...
Son of a bitch.
Oh, I feel it. I mean, and the fact that
first curse that went out on the line.
And then the fact that Evan retweeted this also makes me feel important to his like 100,000 followers. Like, oh man, this is helping my ego out a lot.
Well, you know, Evan. I mean, I know him personally, and he is a nice guy.
Oh, I got drunk with him in Chicago the first time I was
there.
Well,
I heard about that. I heard you kind of misbehaved.
Yeah, he was quite pissed. Yeah, I think he's still a little bit pissed off at me. I think now we're a little bit better, but I remember getting in the cab and I was like, just get me to a train station. I'll take care of myself. That's all I remember.
Yeah, hold on. Can you hear me?
That was
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
yep.
Well, you know what worries me about it is we'll never know what really went on. And it bothers me because, they're a publicly traded company now. At the bare minimum, the shareholders should find out. But, I have no idea if it was, clearly a glitch or somebody was, broke the system somehow. But, it bothers me that they act like this is, it's.
About it, and I saw that too, but I couldn't. Like, he sees stuff that I don't see, and I know that he's using some software that I stopped getting from HFT Alert. So I don't know what he saw, but I definitely missed whatever it was.
100% thinking that there's hackers in this system or something's wrong with this system, and
Yeah.
that they're not doing anything about it, which is the scariest part, is that we all have tons of money locked up in this broken casino, and no one cares really. Now that they're all for profit, they don't care. Bring me back the days when you had a
We
seat and they could
care, but the problem is like even with Business Insider, I was talking with some guys over there when HFT first came out, and they used me. This was part of my post the other day. They used me as a source for information on what the hell was going on, because none of them trade and they're all interns. And they, once they found out that I was tied in with Zero Hedge and everything, that's when the call stopped. So I think this goes beyond people just looking for information. It's people trying to plug something so they can get their paycheck every week and pay their bills, which is understandable. But at least admit that that's the case. You know,
Yeah.
and
No,
and, and when did Zero Hedge become the black plague to the stock market? I mean, I always know there is people you don't want to do business with and everything like that, but he is the one guy speaking the truth. And I guess if you speak the truth in this market, no one wants to deal with you. But I mean, it's like a plague word if you
with it
bring
is
up
because
Tyler.
people sit there and they have their hatred views, and I think this is what plays into a lot of the issues we're having in the market now. Is people are stuck in this thought process of like, okay, I don't know who this guy is. And then, you have some other jabroni that might interest something, like, oh, can you really trust Zero Hedge? You don't know who these guys are. They've told you they might be taking a position and they're going to attack you and blah, blah, blah. And I think that that's part of the problem is people won't listen to any one of the four of us because, you know, maybe they don't know what we look like. At least they know who I look like now, which is why I'm doing this show. And on top of that, I'm not an MBA. I don't have an MBA. I didn't graduate summa cum laude from college. I didn't go to an Ivy League school. And I think people shit on us because of that. And that's why I think it's difficult for us to catch ground because CNBC is able to run out and say what they got. Go ahead.
Muckbert raises his hands and has a master's in finance. If that goes for anything nowadays.
I barely passed college. I said I barely passed college. It took me like 5.5 years because
Dude, I lived with one of my professor's daughters, so that's all I gotta say. My undergrad.
It's good to see people that are actually willing to talk about stuff like that when others aren't. And I don't know if I can trust you guys. You guys don't know if you can trust me, but I think you're genuine. There's no doubt about it.
Well, first off, I absolutely agree with Market Plunger. I trust the system. I always, I'm a Politico. That's my core. And you know what? I'm always willing to take information in from anybody. And you know what? Zero Hedge provides good stuff. It's got a spin. You got to understand that. That's it. It's nothing more important than that, guys.
When I post it, because we're dealing in an awesome media now where you can hyperlink into your sentences. And I try to give people access to the data and the information. Right now I'm building something with St. Lucie where, for a cost, because I have to do this shit on the weekends, people can grab all this information. They can go to one folder, get everything they need, SNAP data, margin credit data, bond data, anything. And that's the problem I get when I read something like a Bloomberg or like a CNBC, that they'll give you their analysis, but they won't give you the data that they were analyzing it off of because they don't want you to go look at it. Where at least at Zero Hedge, even if there is that bias slant to it, because, they believe, that we got to have a market reset. And that slant's just something you're going to have to deal with, but at least the information's there. You can click a link and go check the link out. You can go check their old posts out and see what they were saying, and I don't know. I guess it's basically at least they're offering you the right to take a look at something.
Tweet as it is now.
I think it's garbage.
I want to know how Plunger feels about that.
Yeah, I personally I think it's garbage that he does stuff like that, and my beef isn't with maybe I don't know if it's illegal, maybe it is, and I'm not smart enough to guess, but when you're in my eyes, when you have that much sway, that much money, that much power, you got a lot of responsibility that goes along with it, and you should keep your fucking mouth shut.
Exactly.
These guys out there parading themselves on CNBC and all this Bill Ackman stuff,
Yeah, MP, I think you're preaching. I'm right along with you. I don't mind the Jim Cramer's going on CNBC talking. His wife made all the money. I don't mind the Josh Brown's going on there because we all know Josh Brown's an idiot. But yeah, but he also never. One thing I'll give Kramer over downtown Josh Brown is that Kramer admits when he fucks up, and he admits when he calls something wrong. I've yet to see Josh Brown take full responsibility for making something wrong.
You know, we're going to listen to this shit, and it ends up giving you blinders for the most part, where you don't have to get all your information from Zero Hedge, you don't have to get it all from CNBC, but for crying out loud, we have the internet. You can check like 8 different groups within a minute. You can get everybody's view on something, and I believe it's just laziness in the nation that's bringing all this in. But I think we're getting a little off track now, smashing on society, because I really wanted to keep this about what happened with NASDAQ today, because Bob Grayfield just drives me completely apeshit. And the way CNBC covered it just set me off, because Kramer's just out there just bullshitting people left and right. Yeah, I don't even know what to think about that. Hey, hold on, give me 1 second here. Bob, collect your thoughts. Market, can you check something on your end? Because I'm still getting hits from people that there's no audio. Is your color bar lighting up in the top of your Hangout screen? Yeah, I can hear you now, but okay, try it now, because Tracy, the absolutely wonderful Chai girl, who's probably the most badass oil trader I've ever met, is telling me she can't hear you. So hopefully if she hears me ranting now, she will have heard you before I started talking. But just give me a shout out so I can have these guys give a listen. All right, that'll work. Okay, Bob, well, let's go on to you and finish off your thought. I'm sorry about the sloppiness, guys. This will be the last time this happens.
No, that's all right.
Oh no,
No worries.
I mean, I'm not worried about anything. But you know, I think that the incredible political market is a real train wreck, guys. I mean, I think we're going to press this debt exposure from September 30th, which is what it's typically identified at, to January.
Wow.
This is going to be a problem.
Yeah, it should work now, because it was on mute when you said that up on top here. So it should work.
Should be clear to go here. All right, give it a shot, man. Do what you got to do. All right, so again, I kind of feel like we're running out here, and I don't want to be losing our audience. Well, why don't we, just for the time being, why don't we just touch on Barry's little life tour here? Because I know I live in Buffalo, New York, and he came to town, basically shut the town down. News went apeshit over the fact that the president was here, and he was talking about education, oddly enough, something we're discussing about. And, he was using his teleprompter. He got our mayor wrong. It said a bunch of nonsense, and everybody was kind of in this euphoric state about the education programs that he's talking about. And I'm just wondering if you guys, while we're killing some time here for Market Plunger to come back, if there's any outside views you might have about, the issue that we're having, at least in political education or financial education at the college level, and the way we're constructing people that are coming out now.
Well, I mean, I can tell you clearly that Obama is almost done. Almost done. He's almost cooked. He has one more legislative session to promote his agenda. Obamacare has been a mess. It is a total mess. Sebelius is absolutely flummoxed with it. He doesn't have any ready-made answer to this problem. I mean, who's laughing? Oh, is that you, Bob?
Sorry. He just posted an owl up there. Like, Market Plunger's a good-looking man. I don't know why he needs an owl up to be his thing.
This is a sketchy owl.
I'm sorry. He put that up. I fucking laughed.
Sorry, Bob.
Oh no! I'll shut up. I don't.
No, I didn't realize that you guys could see me. I was hoping.
No, it doesn't matter.
My apologies. Yep, I'm here.
But no,
it actually works.
I kind of agree with Bob. I just don't feel that I feel like the college system's broken. I feel our political system is broken, but I think we should go to a more European-centric college system where dumb people don't deserve to go to college. And I mean, I'm gonna get a lot of flack for saying that, but not everyone deserves a college degree. But a lot of people, the world needs shit picker-uppers too.
See, we've gotten into a nation now where doing blue-collar work is kind of shunned upon.
Well, you know what? Muck is absolutely correct. Muck is absolutely correct. Because these idiots can't continue to sit in these universities for 4 years and jerk around. It's unbelievable. And this is a guy that's paying $70,000 fucking dollars a year.
I knew kids that were glad to be getting out, and they were going to go work jobs in Canada making $11 an hour dishwashing. And these were kids that graduated with better scores than I did in college. And I know Market Plunger's definitely got a view on this because he's, like he said, skated through college, whatever, but the guy's not a dummy. I mean, he's out here managing money for people, and you can't be putting money on the line unless you know what the hell you're doing out here. I know. Well, we all click buttons and use monkeys to pick our trades.
The dartboard.
I think the problem goes way beyond just the college system. I think the whole public education and all that's a travesty. I'm for educating everybody that wants it. Call me a socialist or whatever, but it breaks my heart from grade school all the way up. It's kind of a joke. They don't really teach you anything. I never learned much. I learned more just doing stuff on my own than I ever did in college. Through experience and whatnot.
Talking about colleges and jobs, and we got to do this with jobs, but again, Tyler had something up about that political cartoon where the guy was saying, I've got 3 part-time jobs, the woman says I got 4 part-time jobs, and the trader's walking behind him going, employment numbers are up, bye. And that seems to be the situation we're in now, which makes sense to an extent that these employers aren't going to want to pay for Obamacare. Market Plunger, I'm getting a positive from Josh Taggart that he can hear you, and Tracy's telling me she can't, so I don't know what the hell's going on.
Looking more pimp than I've ever seen him look in his lifetime. I just want to put that out there.
No comment.
Well,
what they need.
I was long some QQQ puts, so that No, I try to. I was trying to put like an hour into the freeze. I got filled on I bought some MGM puts, so I tried to buy some QQQs back, and I didn't get anything. I got one. I got one, but nothing else, and I was like, fuck.
Started out, you know, I dropped the ball with USO earlier this week. Like I said, I had 55-cent puts going into Friday night. I was looking at the September 37 strikes on USO. I was buying puts. Went up to 71 cents Monday morning after the market dropped, and I covered the position because I thought, you know, they were going to try to run it the other way, which they did. But I wasn't expecting the drawback at the end of the day. I was expecting them to keep running it. But I'm still a bear in oil, and it goes along with another guy. I don't know how to pronounce it on here, but redaction or reaction. He's been a heavy bear, and I was bullish. We were going back and forth. I did some research into it. Now I'm a huge bull bear. Along with the market, I'm still waiting for a market collapse. I'm just not getting into position yet. Well, by collapse, I'm not saying Great Depression, but I'm expecting at least a 50-point pullback on the S&P once these margin calls come flying through. And I figure, I don't know, market plunger. I don't know if you've got any views going forward, just on a specific trade. You know, the market in general. You know, what are you thinking, MP?
His thoughts.
You know, right now I'm pretty much flat. I have some USO puts. September, I think they're 37 puts. I've had those for I don't know, a couple weeks, but that's really all that I have on. And besides that, you know, I've just been trying to you know, scalp some trades here and there, and I'm just waiting. What I really want to see is a flush out so I can go get real long again. I don't know if it's going to happen, but you know, it's got that feel to it. There's no doubt about this. At least in my eyes, the recent action is, there's definitely been a tone change, and you know, I still think ultimately we're going to keep heading higher. But well, obviously the market, you know, it's not the end of the world. But I would really like to see just a, you know, 20, 30, 40 more points, just a flush one of these days. Well, I don't know if you caught it. I don't know if you caught it. I think I was just looking the other day, but it was like July 8th or something. Trading Points and I were talking, and I just tweeted to him that the tone is a lot different than it was last month. Mm-hmm. You know, you'd get that buy-in at the end of the day, or any time throughout the day. I mean, you could just start clicking and wait, and you know, your position would go green, and things just look tired right now. They feel tired. There's not that oomph at the end of the day anymore. And matter of fact, I think the last few days last week or so, we tend to close near the lows, with the exception of today. But
yeah,
that's a lot different than it was, you know, for the last, I don't know, 2 or 3 months.
Shit's changed a lot.
I think a lot of people don't really want to. It feels to me there's a lot. You know, I hate saying this because it sounds so CNBC-ish, but there's just people are complacent. You know,
I would agree.
it's the first attitude. Yeah, no, I definitely. I mean, clearly it's been there because we're how many points from the highs? What, 60, 70, 60
Yeah.
points or so?
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, give it another, you know, 20, 30 points. Everybody's going to be shouting it's the end of the world, and we're just going to haul ass higher again. Buy when the market
I know.
special comes on.
Bob, you got some positions on, don't you?
I'm sorry? Well, you know, my outlook is really dead on with market plunger. You know, I am afraid of this market. It kind of keeps moving forward. I don't know that the Federal Reserve has any more arrows in the quid, and well, I think that's all about Ben Bernanke. I think that's all about him trying to recognize his legacy. Exactly. So well,
if that's the case,
No,
yeah, really
it
pissed me off.
doesn't. Greenspan did the same shit that when he left and gave it over. They all do it. They all
spot
protect their
on,
ass.
spot on. So, well, you have to understand that Obama is not bought into the Bernanke nonsense. He's not bought into it. So he thinks the economy is growing. I don't know. I mean,
Going to a Wegmans to do some shopping, or that he's swinging over into a Walmart, to save a few pennies on a rollback offer. You know what I mean? I don't think he's rich enough somebody else is doing it, but I do believe that these guys, I mean, day in and day out, they're doing this shit.
I think he's got enough money. I don't see him shopping at Walmart anytime soon.
no, he's not. He's not. He's not. Nor is Obama. Obama doesn't get it. Obama is tone deaf. He was a person that was promoted far too fast. Far too fast. Oh, no. Not like Larry Summers. Larry Summers was a genius.
That's a savvy politician, that Obama, though.
Well, he's savvy.
You don't get to the highest seat in the world by being a moron, at least in my opinion.
Well, I don't disagree with you, but if you look at his political history in Chicago, he ran against Bobby Rush.
Yeah.
Oh, the worst person to run against in the world. Bobby Rush
Are the best.
Well, perhaps.
Yeah.
Well, like we.
Well, I love that.
We've had a lot of people not putting big positions on. I have big positions on.
Oh, get the fuck out!
All right, we'll get it down. Okay, long XLF, short TLT. What else we got? Long cat, way leaps, long cat leaps. No, we didn't. We got the 295, 295 and change. We're breaking 3% on this 10-year. I think we are. I think a lot of people are gonna get fucked. That's my opinion. Alright, so long cat leaps, long nug, super long nug, and super short MGM Grand. Those are some of my biggest positions. On oil, I'm still waiting for news from Mexico, and what Mexico is going to do. The latest news is that they really want to break up that nationalization. If they do, I see mid-tier like Pioneer Resources and stuff like that going through the roof. They're all going to move into Mexico. But I have some friends at ExxonMobil who said the San Joaquin Valley has more oil under the San Joaquin Valley in California to a multiple of North Dakota. So, we have a lot of oil in this country. I don't know how oil can go up if we have so much of it. But they're talking about the San Joaquin being, exponents of what they're finding in North Dakota.
Well, you know, going back to what you were talking about with the NASDAQ and whatnot, you know, I think it's absolutely necessary for these people that run these exchanges to come out and tell us what the deal is. You know, we're just being lied to. You know, it bothers me. I'm not, you know, again, I'm not one of these gloom and doomers, conspiracy theorists that, you know, one day it's going to break and we're all going to be, we won't be able to get food anymore. But it scares me that, you know, I definitely think the structure is broken. It's being gamed in ways that that should not be allowed, and it's gotten so big and so fragmented that it's not doing what it's supposed to, and it's adding undue risks into the system and for all of us, and that bothers me. You know, for profit my ass, you have an obligation to make sure that this stuff is running properly and can't be gamed, and it shouldn't be. You know, I have no beef with high frequency traders. I absolutely no. If what they're doing is legal, that's fine. But some of the stuff they do should not be allowed.
BTFDs now on account of the special order types and these things that you can't send them unless you know what the hell you're doing, you know, or when to send them. So, you know, I see this fragmented market coming out, and I just don't understand how I can understand making more exchanges for the secondary market, but the financial markets are serving a purpose of raising capital and allocating it so that the country can, you know, make everything better and bigger, and, you know, we can get more value added. And it doesn't seem like having a fragmented market's really helping us, because I'm sure bats could have used that money, and if everything was normal, they could have just launched on NASDAQ. They could have had a great capital raise, you know, and they could be running a very chill second exchange. But now everything's just so jacked up. I mean, personally, I don't want to put money into an IPO, you know, anymore. And it's going to take a whole bunch of successful ones before you convince me to even come back. But this is the problem, because you have these CNBC jabronis running around going, you know, Facebook countdown to the IPO, Facebook this, Facebook that, and then the thing bombs out. Everybody rags on NASDAQ, and then NASDAQ goes black today for 5 hours. Nobody hears anything from them. And we're just supposed to sit back and go, you know, whatever, that's the way the system works. You know, they're professionals. They'll figure it out. And it just makes you wonder, you know, can you really have that thought anymore? And like you, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but I see so much shit. I just sit back and go, dude, the cavalry's not coming. You know, financial TV's garbage. We need to make our own trader talks and talk for an hour and a half through, you know, all these problems I'm having. And then now we're going to have the traders build a system that's going to end up helping the community, because the regulators aren't going to do dick.
I think it's the fact that they went black for 5 hours. For 5 hours, there was no word from NASDAQ. And then a paragraph statement at the end of it. That's just amateur.
It's ridiculous. They're a public company. They at the bare minimum, their shareholders deserve to know what the hell's going on.
I could not agree with Market Plunger enough. No, they will not deal with.
But they have to. No, they have to deal. They're gonna have to deal with this.
They will not.
They have to. That's too much money
They
already.
won't deal with this.
It'll be some
Wake up.
ultimately helps the exchanges and the people that are gaming the system, and you know that it just burns me, you know, out of principle.
Burns my ass.
Doing what they can to make these things run efficiently.
It burns my ass. But I'll tell you what, they will not fix it. They are incapable of fixing it, because they don't know what the fuck the people are going to ask them for.
Well, they'll probably, you know, Maxine Waters will probably be out there chirping about it. They'll have they'll have these guys up for a discussion. The SEC will raise these new laws or these new rules, and it won't do a damn thing. That it's
We're gonna find this guy, and we're just stuck sitting here holding our nuts.
they do more harm than good, in my opinion. They don't go after these people like they really should. Yep. Well, the problem with it is you can do that, but ultimately it'll just be bought by the same people that are doing it now.
Market
Or,
makes a great point. Look at
you know-
Island.
Well said.
Look at Island.
We need, first of all, we need politicians that are honest. Democrat, Republican, I don't care. In my opinion, all they do is play the game, and half these guys don't. They don't. I'm not saying they're heartless, but they just don't. If it doesn't help their party, they don't care, and that needs to stop. People need to wake the hell up and realize that these people they're voting for aren't doing. They're not doing them any favors. I know a lot of these people. I grew up around politics. To run.
Dead on right. I don't know if you guys have Twitter open, but I'm thinking, we've been on for a while. I'm still trying to get Josh to come through. I just sent him an invite. But if you guys want to send something out, maybe a question and answer we can do with these guys. I do have one from somebody that's going out for you, Muck, on the quadruple Qs. This guy Miller, he's asking if you have any thoughts about the quadruple Qs and the blackout, and whether this hack could be coming from Syria or Iran.
I don't know. I mean, I hope we're not getting into financial terrorism. I hope people will learn their lesson from when the company I used to work for, Lehman, went under, and the Chinese were talking about dropping all their bonds because Russia called them. What's the point? If you take us down, we take down China and Japan along with us. So there's not. I mean, I just don't get it. I mean, if you want to leave everybody in a scarred wasteland of a shit rubble economy, then go ahead. But it just seems stupid. And if it is financial terrorism, terrorism's funded by people who are very, very, very rich. So it seems like they'd be shooting themselves in the foot. And that's my opinion.
Terrorism. I think it was maybe 2011, and I've shared it a few times. It's probably in my tweet stream somewhere buried in there. But that's been an issue that I think the Department of Defense, they have a financial arm, and they were looking into the issue with high-frequency terrorism. And even just earlier this year, we heard about people trying to hack exchanges on a consistent basis. And I'm starting to think that that's a real problem.
I have no idea if that was what I tend to not think that's what went on today, but it would not surprise me.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be more, I hate to say it, but disappointed, because you're not hurting the U.S. You're hurting yourself, because if you're financial hacking like this, you have to try to make money or something. No. Yeah. It just seems that if you're gonna hack this system, you want to be long or short and push it whatever way you're gonna go, right? So it seems to be a money-driven thing. It doesn't seem to be. I mean, it can't be a political thing because you're gonna hurt yourself. And if the U.S. goes down, that means that Starbucks is going down. That means that McDonald's is going down. That means that every big chain from the U.S. is going down in every country. If the U.S. collapses, Starbucks is not gonna, still be selling you frappuccinos. I guarantee that.
Yeah, well,
What? Yeah, man. What do you need help?
I mean, I'm
Yeah,
good to go.
oh,
I just poured
she's
myself another drink, so.
Well, I'll sit there and bullshit.
I just, I mean, when it comes down to it, it's had to be a fuck up by someone. It's had to either be HFTs getting a big loss and then flooding the system. I just don't see it being a hacker attack. I just don't see it. It doesn't really quite make sense. If it was a hacker attack, there'd be someone who substantially gained from this. And as it's looking now, it seems like everybody got fucked.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I do not. Well, I mean, I'll just say that the Nasdaq shut down today. Shut down for what? 5 hours? 4.5 hours? It's a mess.
That they can't handle it because that was their issue with Facebook or something. They were having an issue with their matching engines, and you can run multiple matching engines and not have a problem with it.
Was that they could have brought the system online again after an hour. So it seems strange to me. I mean, I don't know. I just smell stuff. It seems odd.
Garbage to be having going on in the middle of the market day. Go ahead, Muck. The longs did, and I'm willing to bet a few of the bank hedge trading desks that got that information, earlier than everybody else. Yeah, but maybe, but it depends on how much you got hammered by. I mean, if you're short it, you're taking on a level of margin to an extent, and it just wonders how bad you got clipped. I mean, I can imagine some guys that are holding options that are flipping, 75% on them once it breaks. Those strike prices are flipping.
Most pissed off other than me about the fact that when they opened this shit up, they closed it 30 minutes later. Maybe an hour and a half later, they closed the market and they didn't extend anything.
I'm pissed. I'm pissed.
no, I definitely think that's part of it. I can't even imagine how complex those systems are. That would be just a nightmare to try to troubleshoot. You know, and if this, well, regardless, the fact that things like this have been happening, even things like the flash crash. something just it doesn't, you know, with it just doesn't feel right, you know. And the fact that we can have people, some of the games that these high frequency traders do, you know, God bless them, it's legal. If you're smart enough to figure that out, you know, again, God bless you, but a lot of that stuff, or some of that stuff, should not be allowed. Just it kills confidence, and without confidence in the system, that's what the whole damn thing is built off of. From lending to everything else, you know. You lend someone money, you have faith you're going to get it back. You buy a stock, you have faith that, you know, not necessarily that you're going to make money, but you're not going to get conned out of your money. You know, and some of the stuff that's going on is, I don't know. It just, I don't like it. Yeah, there he is. Yeah. I think he's gone though.
Thanks to the audience for watching. Thanks for putting up with the bullshit. Yeah, I don't know where it's coming from. We're getting a bad audio feed, so you know, we'll just wrap this up, MP. Thanks for stopping in. It looks like Bobby's gone, Josh is gone, and so is Muck. Well, I want to try to do it every day where I can have guys coming in, you know, during the trading day or whatever and just kind of shoot the shit. So, I mean, I'll be firing stuff up on Twitter. And for the audience members, guys, if you're willing to come on, please do by all means. It sounds like we're good again. Muck, we're good, man. Yeah, that must have been on your end. Ah, that'll do it. So basically short Time Warner Cable, eh? All right. Well, yeah, Josh stepped out, so Muck, what I was just telling Bob is, you know, we're pushing an hour and a half now, so we'll wrap it up. I got to get some work done anyways, and, you know, we can always team back up again tomorrow. I'll try this again, and I was just thanking everybody for putting up with the BS, you know, of my second show I'm producing. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. All right, well, I'm glad you guys came on. That's freaking awesome that you were here. Thanks to all you guys that listened and put up with the shit again. You know, just deal with it. Hopefully this will end up being the new financial media here. And, you know, anybody that wants to come on, hit me up on Twitter. Hit any one of these badasses up. We got at MuckBearPig1. We've got at IUUBob. And we have at Market Plunger. So thanks again, guys, for coming on and putting up with the shit. And good luck with everything. And I'll see you guys on Twitter, I guess, in a few minutes. All right, pimps. Thanks a lot, boys. All right, awesome. Again.